The more I think about chairs, the more I notice them, how they feel, how people sit in them, how people use them. Chairs are too common, too integral to daily life to be overlooked in classroom design. We need chairs that fit the economic, ergonomic, and emotional needs of schools. If students don't feel physically comfortable in a class, they can't be expected to learn efficiently. The purpose of this video project is to capture student opinions and experiences on the intersection of chairs and academics. Although often regarded as a mundane piece of classroom furniture, chairs set the limitations of movement for both individual students as well as the class as a whole.
I actually like this chair a lot because when I read my math book, I sit sideways. So I like the arms, but I also wish it was shorter because my heels never touch the ground, but that's true with all chairs. So it's just a struggle. Because the steps in the science center are made for us, so I feel like we should get chairs that are made sized for women. I think that would be really good.
It makes me feel like I have an old school governess who's telling me to sit up straight.
Oh, I'm sitting in a swivel chair with arms, which is sometimes a good thing and sometimes a bad thing, depending on how I feel like sitting in the chair. I think I have these chairs when I'm working in the CS labs. I couldn't remember to tell you where else. Sometimes I know how to work them, make them go up and down, and sometimes I don't, which is a problem because I am short, and sometimes they're too tall, and sometimes they are too tall, and sometimes they're too tall, and sometimes they're too short, and I don't know how to fix them. But anyway.
So the chair I'm sitting in is like a lecture hall style chair. It's got wooden arms, it's got a desk. It's stationary, I can't move it around anywhere. It's soft, it's cushiony. I like that it has arms.
A back that lets me lean back and stretch, and definitely no arms, and no table attached because I prefer using an actual table, and it has to be comfortable enough that I can sit there for probably longer than I should be sitting in one place and still be comfortable and not feel like my legs are going to die or that I'm falling asleep.
The chair I'm sitting in, it's wooden on the sides, but it's glossy and finished. And there's this cushion, but it's pretty thin, unsubstantial. It's average height. Yeah.
So what do you like about the chair?
It's more form fitting, I guess, because it's foam or whatever padding is in these, I don't know. But it's up the back too, and it kind of mold, not memory foam, but not memory, it forms where the pressure is, and it feels it's probably me just thinking hallucinating, but it feels the pressure that comes up, that I'm putting on the back of the chair, which is some of it down into the lower thing, which goes into my back, which supports it more. There's more comfortable range. You can sit up really straight, or you can kind of scooch back. I mean, after a while, this will hurt just because it's a weird angle for your back, but you can literally get this and still be comfortable, you know. And there's I don't know, there's more room to go.
Ideal chair. I think the ideal chair depends on what you're doing in it. So I usually like doing math and statistics things, so then I would want a doing chair. But I mean, as for a talking chair, this is pretty good. I think the height is decent. I think it's good that everybody, it might help for adjustable height chairs for people to be able to talk to each other at eye level. If you're really a stubby person, then they'll be down here. That's not any good. I like squishy arms, but arms in general are nice. I think I want more space to fit my legs in it, but I guess this is okay. Yeah, this is a decent chair. It's awfully small and confined. It's if these are the arms do well of holding my legs in the chair, but I don't know. It could be softer. It could be more cushiony.
I like the squishiness. like it's higher up. Like this one's like almost to my shoulders, whereas the other chair was like just above like my, like it was at like the middle of my back, so this is like almost at like top of my shoulders. I think the armrests are higher on this one than they were on that one, which might sound like picky, but like, you know what I mean? Like if your arms would like drop lower, then it's just weird. But if they were up like this, it'd be weird. But these ones are like at a good like, reminds me of like when I drive the van. Like it's like a good like height to like rest on, you know? And you can still like, excuse me, like you can still do things even while you're resting on the thing. You wouldn't have to like pick up your arm to like get the thing or something.
I was taking my Spanish test today, and the table in the library where we have our class, it's like over to the side, and so I was trying to like write, but it was really hard, and my back was really hurting, and it was just like really hard because some of them like they go in front, but that one was like way off to the side, and I didn't like it.
In terms of studying on those desks, I try not to do like long-term studying. Like if I'm not in a classroom for a class, I try to do it at a table with a chair, not like a chair with a desk attached.
My ideal chair, like for studying.
Yeah, for classrooms.
For classrooms.
Yeah.
I like when there's like a specific like desk that you can pull in versus pull out, because like sometimes like I want to sit like at the front, so it's nice to be able to lean over. So if they were separate versus like all the ones that are like actually connected.
And it's just like, and then they're always rickety. You like can't move them. If you set something wrong on it, it'll just tip over on you. It's ridiculous. And they're like the non-comfy, all, you know what I mean? There's like not even butt cushion. It's just like wood. And you're like, but yeah, so I think attached table is more fun because then you can spread out, you know? Like mine is taking up other people's space. Like you can spread out the width of the desk. Whereas like attached desks here are always like this size, or like ones I found are maybe a little bit bigger, but it's like not enough room. Like if you try to put more than 2 notebooks on it, it's like, nope, I don't know. So yeah, like tables are nicer because you can like, especially because like when I had in my extra class, like we had tables like that with the swivelly chairs, you know. And you just like roll up straight table, you got your half, you spread your shit out, it's good. Whereas like the desk, you like, okay, and it gets like, it's so bad because they're like not good for like rearranging rooms, and like in that class, like she always like put the desks in a semicircle, but like there were so many people with these tiny desks. Like you could not get out. Like once you were in, it was like wait for the person at the end to get out, and then the next person gets out. Like it's crazy.
The lap desk is practical, but kind of like locks you in. Doesn't really, I don't know, it's confining, I guess.
If I can get the desk. Like I like that you can put them away. Maybe. Okay. You can like, oh, that's why this one is so fucked up. Okay. You can like sometimes put them away without injuring the desk. I don't know, for me, because I'm larger, it's like I have to like scooch back and then put the desk down, and then it's like still like digging into my stomach like a little bit. But like I mean like here, like this isn't too bad. It's just like off to the side, you know? Like most people don't write to the sides of themselves. Like a lot, you know, like you put it like right in front of you when you write. So you can't exactly like do that unless you like can't flip it this way. Because there's ones that like you can flip either way, you know, like you can't do that with this one. So I mean it also sucks for like, so like it's just tiny. Like nobody has notebooks this small. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing this small anymore. Especially if you like take notes on a laptop. You can't do that in this chair with this desk. You have to either like balance it on your knees. If you have like a big enough one like mine, I would balance it on my lap instead of trying to put it on this. If you're really tiny, you can like do this, but then you're like your back's twisted weird, and you're like putting weight on certain sides. You know what I mean? So then like probably after a while would like probably like not be good for your back.
Small desks are really annoying because I have a lot of stuff and I like to have like a lot of it with me instead of having to reach down all the time. And so like understandably like with desks it's hard to like have a lot of desk space, period. But like it's like I have space for a notebook and maybe a pencil case.
And like once you put the desk up, there's like really nowhere to go. In a sense, you like can't move as much as when it wasn't in, and then you have to like kind of like move around the desk. Yeah. But the fact that it can like be put away is nice. I think I prefer like the separate table most time. Like, I mean, if I had to, it'd be like a separate table, and then like the ones like I told you about the library room that you could adjust the desk, and then like.
Do you prefer classes where you have like larger tables instead of the individual ones?
Generally, if I'm trying to do more individual work or like more space, I guess, then a tiny little desk, because then you don't have a lot of space to put stuff out. But like I keep dropping pencils and erasers.
I definitely prefer a table because I like to spread my things out. Like if you have an attached desk, first of all, you can't like just do like crisscross it. But it's also like the desks are always so small, and it feels like it like locks you in when you put the desk over. So yeah, I like tables. I think that for smaller classrooms, it works to have one big table, because then you're like physically connected to the other people that you're talking to. But in like a big classroom, I think it helps for them to be separated, so the professor could like walk through or like move around a little bit easier, or so you could like see the people at your side of the table and the other people across the room. I think it helps to divide it.
Actually, this chair's not too bad when I'm just sitting like this, because I have no desk immediately in front of me, because like my knees aren't bumping into anything. If I'm sitting at a desk, I don't know. It depends how I'm feeling. Sometimes I'll end up turning sideways and I sit like this, and then my leg falls asleep. But it's like I need to move around instead of keep staying in one position all the time. This was the problem with the swivel chairs, though. When I sit with them in weird positions, is that then I move, obviously, and then kind of like slowly turn away from where I'm supposed to be facing, like this. Lectures are, you're taking notes, and that doesn't necessarily need a computer, but it's nice to have one, especially if you're trying to test some programming, or you're trying to test some code you've written or anything like that. So for those, like, chairs that are more well-suited, I guess, to having a bit more space, because you need space for the computer, you need space for anything else that you like, maybe you're taking notes on separately, maybe not on your computer.
So I haven't had these chairs in a classroom setting at all. These are actually somewhat better than the chairs that I have to usually sit in at Science Center classrooms. In my math class in particular, the ones with the attached desk are really uncomfortable, and for some reason I've ended up sitting in the same chair almost every single time. And that chair, if you lean back too far, it makes a really loud squeaking noise. Also, you cannot sit cross-legged for the life of you, because there's a pole right where your knee should be. And, I don't know, and you have to kind of sit at an awkward angle whenever you're writing. And I get that there's some chairs designed for right-handed people and some chairs designed for left-handed people, but it seems like there's always the improper balance in my math classroom, because the person in front of me every single time has to move the right-handed chair to a left-handed chair because they want to sit in the same spot, but it's always some issue with the chairs. I don't think anyone in my math class is happy with the chairs there, honestly.
Do you see any benefits to like the chairs with the desks attached to them?
I mean, it means that you can fit more chairs in one classroom and still give people a place to write, I guess, because I guess it's easier to write than trying to write on a binder on my lap, but I don't know. I've never been fond of chairs with desks attached.
Well,
yeah, I much prefer working at a real table.
do you think the design of the node chair is a good chair design for how you as a student want to learn in a classroom?
Mm-hmm. I think that would definitely be a significant improvement over the chairs, especially the ones in my math classroom, because that way, like, you could adjust the desk not only so that the person in front of me wouldn't have to swap chairs every single class, but also so that, like, if you're getting uncomfortable, you can sort of adjust without making a really loud squeaking noise every single time.
Wooden base. It's got a weird back. Like, it's like so curved in, so it's made from like probably skinnier people like me. But you know what I mean? Like, it's to like hit the back chair, I have to like weirdly contort because it's made like for. I think it's older. It's like rickety. Oh, that's terrifying. Okay, might kill me. It's fine. Like a lot of the chairs here, but like newer wood, not like the weird wooden founders. Well, it's alright. Chairs, you know. And yeah, like it's better than a hardwood chair. It's like there's definitely like still some padding, even though God knows how old this chair is. There's something like on the back, so that can be like a little uncomfortable after a while. Because especially if you're a really large person, there's like the slats back here. You know, I don't know. You have to like look at them. There's like a thick slat, like the A big, so it might not be comfortable for like really, really larger people. I don't know, I'm just a little worried about it falling apart because it's rickety, but it's cool. I think if I like that the back is rounded, but if it was like rounded like a little bit more out, you know, instead of like, because then you like don't just feel like you're sitting up against like a hard piece of, you know what I mean, like you're more comfortable that way. Because if you're like sitting against like just like a flat piece of wood, you're like, this is like not comfortable or like good for my back. It feels comfy. I like the armrests. I don't know, I like armrests are nicer than no armrests, then your arms have somewhere to go instead of just like flopping on the sides.
Okay, so how does this chair make you feel?
It's pretty comfortable.
These are actually pretty comfortable chairs. Like I have some really uncomfortable chairs I have sat in here. These are like the back shape is nice because I can like lean back, and that's fun. I guess it can be kind of distracting, but also like sitting for a long time. I'm just like, no, that's not just sitting and not moving. It's not my thing. A lot of times in my Japanese class, I don't have these kind of chairs. I have chairs that have the like a really narrow desk that you can swivel back and forth, and that's what it is in all my Japanese class for all of the chairs in there. And I always end up like turning. I'm just gonna rant about those chairs for a second because like I end up after a while, like you saw how I like to sit with my feet up because I like to have my feet on something. I think that's part of the reason. So I'll end up trying to sit like this, but then the desk has to go right on top of my leg so I can still write. And at that point, I usually like turn the chair so I'm going this way, and then I can't go back because my legs are up on the chair. And I'm like trying to do this in the back of the classroom, and it's kind of a struggle. But yeah, because like trying to get my leg under the desk is a problem. And then I've turned sideways, but then my feet are on the chair, and then I have to put a foot down, and like, I don't know, it's more distracting, and then I kind of lose focus in the class.
Do you want to sit in this chair for more than 2 hours?
No. I don't like sitting still for more than 2 hours though, so.
These chairs don't have wheels on them. So.
That is true. They're not good for me because I fidget. But it's like, it's comfortable, but the back feels really flimsy. I don't know.
Would that be a problem for you if you wanted to lean back?
Yeah, I don't know, like leaning back, it kind of feels like it's going to tip over. But it's just like, it feels very intangible. It's not the right word. So like this is like your shin and this is like your thigh, you know? Mm-hmm. Okay, like 90 degrees, pretend that's a 90-degree angle. But like on this one, it's kind of like that. So it's like a little, you know what I mean? Like it's just tighter up in here. But like if you like stretch out, it's like not as bad. So I feel like this can cause people to sit more like this or like weirdly like displayed just to, I don't know, yeah.
This chair emotionally makes me feel trapped. It makes me feel trapped in like an environment of listening and absorbing instead of like doing my own research or creating my own thoughts. Well, I will sit in this chair for 70 minutes and then go to a more comfortable chair or back to bed. My favorite chair at Wellesley. I think my favorite chair at Wellesley is those comfy, like square, cushiony chairs they have in Pendleton Well. I could sit there. I actually have sat there for hours and done work at the tables there.
So the chairs in Bates, like I tend to study in the Bates dining hall a good amount because I live on East Side and I'm in the Science Center, and so sometimes between, you know, after I'm done with classes but before food has gone out, I just will sit down and study in the dining hall. And I guess they're okay. What really bothers me though actually is just, I don't like, probably because they're all old chairs, but like the wood keeps coming up, and also they're very hard chairs, and they're not, I don't think they're very conducive for sitting them in a long time, because they're, I mean, they are intended more for people who are going in and out into a dining hall, eating and then leaving, and probably not as much for people who are staying there for a long time. And also because like people spill things and whatnot, so it makes sense for them not to be padded, but also makes it a little bit uncomfortable as a study environment, because then you are sitting in a hard chair with no padding for, you know, multiple hours if you're staying there for a while. I mean, I study in the dining hall because I want to be able to eat food at the same time that I am studying, which It's probably more a reflection on me than the chairs in the dining hall, but like certainly it's more annoying. I guess it's like a trade-off because I know that there are things that you have to, the dining hall, the needs of a dining hall have to be addressed. At the same time, the needs of it as a study space also need to be addressed. So, like, I know that if I need to study in Bates, it's going to be kind of uncomfortable for me as a study space because because I'm making that trade-off for being able to eat food and have food readily available for me while also being able to study.
So these chairs are pretty common in the Science Center, and I spend a lot of time sitting in them because I'm in the Science Center a lot. And I guess they're okay at first, but the longer you sit in them, the more you realize that you can't really sit cross-legged like this comfortably. I guess they're okay for putting your feet on if you have another chair, but if you're sitting in one place for several hours at a time, which I do a lot, it's not really the most comfortable. For getting work done, I have to sit in chairs. If I sit on the floor, I know I'm not going to get anything done. I think probably the saddest part about a lot of chairs that are here is you can tell that at one point they were probably significantly more comfortable, but then because people have sat in them so many times, they just look kind of sad and deflated and also sometimes kind of stained, just a little bit gross. And just, you don't want to sit in a sad chair. That makes you sad.
Like specific features on it that you like?
I like the back. I like that the back is curved. It's pretty comfortable. It feels like a chair you could sit and talk in. It's a talking chair as opposed to a listening chair or a doing chair.
Could you expand on that?
I'm not a very good sayer. Okay. No, it seems like the kind of chair that you would sit around a table and discuss things with other people, as opposed to like a chair in a lecture hall where you would sit and listen to someone else talk at you, or like a, I don't know, like a squishy like swivel chair that you could do a lot of good work in. And yeah, it's a talking chair.
A talking chair is the chair you'd find in a seminar room. Stationary chairs either gathered around a large table, or, if they are chairs with attached desks, arranged in a semicircle. The primary purpose of these chairs is to allow you to communicate and connect easily with those around you. Listening chairs, put simply, are lecture halls. Listening chairs usually do not provide as much desk space for note-taking or much room for movement during the class. These chairs are very space efficient. Visibility of the professor and the front of the room are prioritized. They are often softer than talking chairs because during a listening-based class, students are expected to sit quietly for prolonged periods of time. The arrangement and design of listening chairs closely resembles that of a movie theater. A doing chair is found in the form of a swivel chair or a lab chair. Swivel chairs lend themselves to movement around the classroom and rearrangement of the class layout. Lab chairs or stools make it easy for students to transition between seated and standing positions so that they may travel around the classroom without needing to move the chair with them. During labs, a student may also often need to stand in order to best complete a hands-on activity. In education, we often lead towards individualization rather than specialization. Objects and lesson plans are made to fit the individual needs of each student. Classroom materials should have universal design so that each student may experience that material in the manner most appropriate to them. We need to approach chair design with the same attention to detail as we would with any of the academic materials in the classroom.
I like some of the chairs. Like I like here in like this classroom, but I don't like all of the ones in my classrooms that I actually have classes in. because they're all the ones that are connected, and it just like really hurts the back and my shoulder to like take notes and stuff.
Okay. These chairs make it easy to concentrate?
Sure. Yeah, probably. I mean, like, I don't think they would prevent me from concentrating. I don't know if they necessarily help me concentrate.
Or like,
if the chair's too hard, like that definitely is distracting for me, because I'm like, especially if you have a longer class, because I definitely have a class that's like 2.5 hours because it's a once a week class where the professor. The point is that like if the chairs in that classroom thankfully are like comfortable because they're not like this. How are they like? But either way, they're squishier, so I don't feel like my butt's getting like sore after quite a few hours of just, or like more than half an hour of sitting in one place. Like, so definitely having a chair this, but like at the same time, if it's too squishy, like then I start to fall asleep, and that's distracting, obviously, because I'm not paying attention to the lecture.
It makes it easy to listen to a lecture, but it doesn't make it easy to like get work done or like really discuss things with other people.
Yeah, as I said, I like often like sit in chairs like this to like read or something, or I'll like sit on the ground or like upside down. I think it just like helps because it keeps like moving, like if you like are switching positions.
I don't know how I feel about the swivel. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. It kind of depends on my mood and like what I'm studying. Because sometimes I'm like, oh, I need to move to be able to just like think things through, or like try and like get some more movement. Because if I'm sitting there for a long time, it can be kind of like, oh, what am I doing? And other times I just like get really into something and I'm just basically stopped still. Like usually like CS stuff or whatever that I'm just like typing on a computer, so I'm not moving a ton when I'm doing it. Oh yeah, but no, I definitely did mention earlier, I like having my feet on things. So when a chair doesn't have something I can put my foot on, so like one of those like normal 4-legged chairs that doesn't swivel and you just like have 4 legs and no bars or anything between, I feel weird because I'm really short. I'm like 5'2". So like my feet a lot of times don't touch the ground. Like, I don't know if you can see, but like if I'm just sitting here and not trying to reach the ground, they're not touching the ground. So I like having things to put my foot on because I like to be grounded in some sense. I don't know, when I'm working, sometimes I like to sit in them like a normal human being, like this. But then after a while, I end up sitting in them cross-legged, or like putting my foot up on another chair, like this, or variations thereon.
It's very loud chair. I feel like if I was sitting in class, I'd just be like squeaking constantly. Very awkward. It's work one. It's swivelly. Is it swivelly? Yeah, it's swivelly. And it has like cushions. It's pretty nice. It's just really squeaky, which is irritating because every time you like lean back and it's like, and you're like, I'm just trying to move without disrupting the ambiance of work, but it's fine. Short class all semester, and I didn't think they were too bad because it was like less distracting because like I think it was less distracting for everybody else too, because when you have like the stationary chairs, if you like move them, they usually make like a significant amount of noise, you know, like on the floors. But with swivel chairs, you can just like casually move and readjust, and it's like not as distracting without the like loud noises in the middle of class.
The classroom tutoring absolutely affects my concentration. I know in some classrooms here in Pendleton, the chairs are like really soft, and well, okay, if you have, so from my previous example, if you have a doing chair in a lecture classroom, like I get really distracted. Example, when I go to 139 and I sit in the doing chairs, I do other homework instead of listening to the lecture, which is a problem. I think that like if you had lecture chairs, like listening chairs, in a more discussion class, I wouldn't say anything. I would just be not distracted, but not interested in putting forth more ideas, or I would be more likely to fall asleep.
I mean, like personally, like with my like leg and my back when it was like worse, if the chairs were like not supportive or like just like weirdly, if they were like made for humans way back when, but like they weren't comfortable now, you know? Because back then they were like, we don't like comfort, but if they were like, if there's just like pressure in the wrong place, or like not as part, like it would like I could feel my like leg would hurt like the entire class. So like you're like distracted between like I need to focus, but like also like my leg hurts like a bitch. You know what I mean? So like that's what I like about like those have sports and you like actually don't feel that. So yeah, I think that if they're like not comfortable in the sense that they don't provide the right support for sitting for like an hour and a half or two, like, you know, like if you have like a seminar like 2.5 hours in class, so like some people don't get a break, like then there's only so much adjusting you can do in a chair to like get comfortable, and if it's like not made to be comfortable, then it like sucks.
And
I feel like I get really distracted by swivel chairs in humanities classes. I don't know if that's like actually founded in anything, or if I'm just thinking about these chairs specifically and the fact that I associate them with the science center.
So I don't know if I can entirely blame the chair for my own distraction issues, but I definitely think like having a more comfortable place to sit would make me less likely to want to get up all the time and go do things instead of actually doing my homework. Spinny chairs and rolly chairs distract me so much. That's why I have to sit in these chairs and not other chairs, because otherwise I won't get anything done at all. And I think armchairs wouldn't really be convenient either, because then you can't sit cross-legged if you get bored. But I don't know, it would be nice to have chairs that lean back somewhat. That way you can kind of stretch without getting up and distracting yourself from whatever you were trying to get done. Sure, so all the chairs were really like kind of plasticky, and most of them had desks attached, which I find annoying. And they were not very comfortable to sit in. I guess you would be sitting in them for less time than you would at a typical Wellesley class, because the class periods were only about 50 minutes long, but that's still a long period of time. So often I would be shifting around in my chair a lot because there was no good way to get comfortable, I guess. And you were really limited in terms of ways to sit, I guess. I guess the good thing about them, even the ones that were attached to desks, was that the desk was slightly larger than the desks on the chairs that are attached to desks here. And it was more of like a surface that you could work on, and it wouldn't like tilt as much. But overall, I think the drawbacks of the chair significantly detracted from the whole chair desk thing. I don't think I've ever thought of it like, oh, it's really difficult to concentrate because I can't sit still, but I think probably subconsciously part of the reason why I wasn't like able to sit still and concentrate all the time was because it was just hard for me to sit still in a position that was comfortable. I think I'm most sensitive to spinny chairs. Like, if I stretch or if I drop something and the chair spins like significantly when I'm bent down to pick it up, or I don't know, if it's like super spin sensitive, then that's more distracting. If it like kind of stays where you want the chair to be when you want it to stay put, that's good in a spinny chair.
I don't like the arms on the chairs because they like restrict me as a person. They restrict my creative flow. They restrict everything I am. It's just like they're trying to contain me, but it's really suffocating. They're also just super heavy. Like the chairs with the arms are way heavier than the chairs without the arms, and it's really annoying because like if I have to move them to like get anything done, maybe I'll be like suddenly weak. Maybe all the muscle mass in my arms will like leave for a good 10 seconds that it would take me to move the chair, and suddenly I can't move the chair. The spinny chairs are kind of okay. Not really though. They're like the representation of what Judas would be. Like they are traitors in the midst. Like they look all inviting at first, kind of like a world at Disneyland, but suddenly you take a little spin on them and then like a couple of screws go loose and suddenly the whole chair collapses and you're on the ground crying over a scraped knee and a bruised ego because this spinny chair thing. See, I don't like any chairs because I usually come into class late, and it's usually like those chairs that are attached to desks, and especially like the spinny movable kinds, like people just like pack in all together like a bunch of molecules in an ice cube, or like a bunch of like
people in those donuts and lazy rivers, and you just can't like move in between any of those spaces. So I really, really hate those chairs in particular, because like I'm trying to get to a seat in the back, and even though the chairs have mobility, the chairs won't move for me. They are obstacles in my way. So I think if, like, I would really love classrooms to have like formless beanbag chairs, or maybe like like chairs made out of individual like ball pits. I think that would be really, really great. Like I could move around. It wouldn't contain me so much. I could just like pretend I'm like flopping in like a beanbag or a ball pit. I'd be less likely to fall asleep in a ball pit than a beanbag chair, definitely. But yeah, those are my ideal chairs for classes.
I mean, I think we could get a culture of just lying on the floor and learning. That would be fantastic, because I don't know, I feel like you're more relaxed when you're just lying on the floor, you know? I don't know. I just really like lying in random places. I fell asleep in the academic counseling the other day. That was fun. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's why I like the swivelly chairs, because you can move it a lot easier. And that way, like, if you don't want to move or you don't have to, you know, but then you can just, like, swivel your way around. Especially, like, when, like, the chairs are so bunched up, you can't move in general, you know, not even just, like, getting up to try and move. Mm-hmm. You know, people, like, in the class will try to get out to go to the bathroom, and they're sitting in the back, and it's like, well, sucks to suck, you're stuck there until, like, the bell rings. Yeah, I don't know. I think if like you can't move in the class, it's just hard, because they're like get in small groups, and it's like, how do we do that? And then it's like, I think if you can move easier, it makes you want to like branch out to people. Whereas like with the class, since it was like so hard to move these desks around our founders, that we just like sat in the same spot and talked to the same people all semester. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which I guess could be like if they're your friends, but like it's different. You know what I mean? She'd be like, talk to someone new if you want to, or just talk to whoever, you know. But like, it's a lot easier to like be like, hi friend who's on the other side of the room, let me come talk to you, if you can like actually swivel around, or even just get up and move, you know, instead of like the desks are so clustered and so many and so immovable that you can't do that.
Oh man, those Pendleton chairs are really, really annoying. At least with these, you can have like a straight back, and you can like move your arms around a little, like all the creative process. Not like these dumb chair arms. I don't like chair arms at all. I'm just like, it's so unnecessary. You're like an inanimate object. You don't need arms. Like you don't. So those chairs in Pendleton, they're like really, really weird. They're like curved, kind of like in a moon amphitheater type of shape, and it's just like not conducive to learning, because like you just lean back and you can't like sit up straight without looking like you have a stick up your butt or something, and then the arms just get in the way. When you try and scoot your desk forward or back, it's restricted, because like it's that kind of chair leg material that like rubs the carpet all wrong, and so you look like a dumbass. Like one time I like tried to like push myself out, and then I like kind of didn't use enough, I don't know what the science term is, like velocity or friction or whatever. I didn't use enough of it, so, or maybe I used too much, because then like suddenly like my chair just like tipped back, and I was like that song, In the Arms of Angels or something like that. Yeah, it was a bad time. I like tipped backward and I cried. The Wellesley effect should be about getting individual ball pits for everyone's chairs. Ball pits are the way of the future, man.
Because I feel like stationary chairs, you have to like to move them, you gotta like scrape them across the floor. You have to like get up, pick them up, and go. And then it's just like very, especially in like classrooms where you don't have room to move, you know. Then it's like hard to like talk to people without like moving the entire desk. But like when you have the swivel chairs, like, it's easier to like move and like talk to more people if you're like doing like group discussions or something.
I couldn't tell you the percentage, but I'm gonna say like 90-95% of chairs or desks in general are made for right-handed people, which makes sense because most people are right-handed. But like I have there's the chairs which like the desks that lift up. They don't swivel, they just lift up. You can get in and out of the chair, but they're always on the right side. There's like max 3 or 4 in a class at any given time, I think, of the left-handed desks. And it's always a struggle because those are never in the front row of the class either. If you ever want to be, so it's like a lot harder, I guess, if you're like a lefty who wants to sit in the front of the class as well. Because either you restrict yourself to a right-handed desk and then you're cramped over like this, which is kind of hard to write, or like pay attention because like you keep dropping stuff, or like you try to go to the left-handed chair and it's hard, you have to move it around, and that involves getting to class early. Alternatively, there's also lecture halls, and then the left-handed desks are usually on the ends. So like you can't be in the front of the classroom. So it kind of like is distracting in terms of like, oh, I wanted to be in this spot, but I can't because it's uncomfortable for me to write or pay attention. So like I had this one class where all the desks were set, and there were like the left-handed desk in the front row was like all the way on the right side. So like it wasn't the best view to view the screen, but it was like the one that was most comfortable for me to write in. So that's where I ended up sitting for the entire semester.
So it's like a lefty desk over there, but you know what I mean? Like there's not usually lefty desks with these. So like that sucks if you're left-handed, but for the normal people. I don't know.
I think it depends on what you're doing with it. I think it depends on the kind of person you are. But if everyone in the classroom has different chairs, then it would be kind of a strange design for the classroom. I mean, I don't know. I think that there has to be uniformity to like put everyone on the same level.
I actually took one of the standardized tests, like for high school, like the ACT, in an entire lecture hall in a college in my home state, and because you know from those kind of things they just kind of tell you go into this row, so you can't have really an option to choose for a lot of these because they're like, oh, you just need to sit here. Just there's not a lot of time to go look for the left-handed desk or whatnot. So I took an entire, how long was it? Like 2.5 hours or whatever, you know, with breaks in between. But like a really long test on a right-handed desk, which is like very small already. And I was trying to write the essay portion, trying to answer everything, cramped over like this. And I was complaining about it with another high school classmate of mine who's also left-handed. And he was telling me that, oh yeah, no, it was such a struggle because like I was having to write like this and like it wasn't comfortable for me. And so I feel like that definitely made it more difficult than it had to be in terms of experience.
I think it would be, as long as your head's like above the chair for me, you know what I mean, like the chair back. Because I feel like if you were super short, your neck wouldn't have anywhere to go because it would just be against the chair. So you'd have to like compensate for like scooching forward or like trying, you know what I mean, just trying to like maneuver around so your head wasn't like more like this the entire class. Like that would hurt for a while. It's like with this, like I really hate the ones in Founders, you know, it's like the old wooden chairs with the desk attached. Like those are not comfy. Those are made for people like these big, or for that, because these are, a lot of chairs at Wellesley are just super low to the ground, you know? Which I think because more people like shorter back, way back when it was built. Like, I don't know. So I think if you were a small child, it might be weird that you couldn't touch the, you know what I mean? But I think for the average Wellesley student, average, you know, loaded thing. But like, I think for that, like, it would be pretty, like, your feet would always touch the ground.
Do you ever feel like
it's just hard because then when it's like too low, like I'm taller, so my legs are longer, and then you have to like contour your legs, and then you're like starting from like a weird squatted, crouched position to get up. Also, like the toilets here the same way.
One of their language classes, that the way that their chairs are set up is that they're all in a circle around the professor. Well, like not like a circle, but like they're mostly in a circle around the professor. And I don't know, she didn't like that. I couldn't tell you why because it wasn't my class, but I do know that she didn't like it that way. And I know it was those chairs that have the like long rectangle swivel desk that I was mentioning earlier that I have in my Japanese class. You're not all facing one direction, like you're just not all facing the professor, because then you actually have more interaction. I guess for more discussion-based classes, those tend to be slightly better layouts, because like you can see the people you're talking to, because I know like in a lot of classes that are set with, you know, everyone facing the same direction, you're trying to talk to people who are behind you, or you're having a discussion and somebody behind you brings something up, everyone turns and looks like this, and it's like a weird thing. But it's just like, I don't know, it feels more inclusive and more equal for discussion-based classes, I feel like, if you have more of a non-traditional setup.
So I only have one class with like individual chairs with desks attached. The rest all have tables and chairs that you push. And I think, so my English class has one large table with all of us around it, including the teacher. And I think that actually works really well because it allows for a lot of discussion, because you can pretty much see everybody else. even if you have to move back slightly. And I feel like it puts everyone more on one level, I guess. I don't, in terms of like individual chairs, the only classes that I have with those are more lecture based anyway, so I don't know, and they require the professor to write more on the board, so I don't know if I really have like a lot of knowledge about how that would be different if the professor was sitting down and people had like their individual spaces or not. I don't know. I feel like overall, I would benefit more from having a table with a chair than having an individual desk. Even if it does mean that I have to share the table with other people, I feel like that is a better atmosphere for me to work in.
How do chairs make me feel? Chairs are like really, really restricting. Like I always want to like get up and move around and do stuff. I'm a very active person, but yeah, I'm just kind of passive at the same time. And the chairs are like very, very restrictive of me as a person, and I just don't like that. Like the chairs just get in my way. They're always in my way. They're always killing my vibe. Why do we need chairs? Like if I want to get up and dance around the room, then like I trip over a chair and suddenly I'm on the ground and I hate everything, and it's all the chair's fault.
I don't know. I think the space, like in the like with the teacher and the professor in the center. Is that what you mean? Like the person be in the center of the square? I think that would be nicer, but that's like the only problem is that. Excuse me. That like at some point they probably have their back turned to you, and then it's just you're just like, you know what I mean? Like they're gonna try to like look at everybody to like to get to, you know what I mean? Like feel like they're engaged in the class. But then it's like, then there'd be points when they're like, their back's turned to you or like whatever. So then you're just kind of like, me, you know what I mean? I mean, in my first year seminar last year, we had like a big table. There was like 12 of us per professor. And she sat like at the head of the table. And I was like towards the back. So the other thing is that like if people lean in, excuse me, like if the first person's like leaning on their arm like this or something on the table, and the next person has to lean in farther to see the professor, and then the next person lean farther. So by the end of it, you're just like, you're like craning your necks over at dude's back, or you're like trying to like get it like this over here, you know? So like, I don't know. I like, can I offer a third solution, or do I have to?
Sure, yeah.
Like I like when they do like kind of semicircles, because then it's like you can kind of see everybody, and like nobody's like up in front, but nobody's like way back behind, and like the professor like is always facing everybody. Like she would do that in our seminar a lot, which minus the unmovability of the desks. Like it was nice, cause like it's not like, you know what I mean? Like I think everybody felt inside the discussion. So I think that works. The semicircle option, if you like can't do it, like works best.
I've been in don't think I've been in the rooms where like the like big lecture rooms where all the chairs are connected. I kind of like walked a friend from another class and like kind of peered into the room as they walked in, and I was like, oh, I hate those chairs. I'm never taking class here. And the only science class I took was like in a smaller room where they have like all the desks that are stationary, and sometimes they have like right desks and sometimes they have left desks, but it's the same thing where they're like all packed too tightly together and they just get in my way. They're all in my way. I've definitely had a seminar where we were in that like kind of big room in Pendleton where like there's just a big rectangular table and this professor's just sitting there. I think it's a little awkward because like no one wants to sit in the seat like directly next to the professor. That's just like a really awkward thing to do. Why would you do that? And yeah, it's kind of weird because we're all like at an angle. You could definitely tell who's paying attention and who's not, because some people will angle themselves like directly like in front or away from the professor so that they can like open their laptops and go watch shopping or something. And then there are others who are like kind of closer to the professor, like within like eye view, so that they can like talk and converse, because like they're the ones who are more likely to have actually done the reading for that day or even just barely skimmed it. And then there's like the lecture classrooms and founders where like the professor is like standing very like all the way in the front, and then there's like a sea of desks like back here, and it's the same thing. Like those who like don't pay attention at all are like in the back. We all have our phones like under the desks. Like the desks are very like the desks are made so that like there's like this thing underneath, and that we can easily like fit in our phone like in this like blind spot space, and we can just like flip through Facebook or like EDUC or whatever. And yeah, it's very obvious to tell that like the people who are in the front of the room didn't want to be there. They like came late to class, and so they're trying to salvage like what else is left, so they just made it to those desks. And then there are people who are really, really late who like can't nab those front seats, and they have to like swim through a shark-infested desk sea to like get all the way to the back, like they're islands of class participation.
I mean, personally, I don't really like the setup of this room with like the stadium style, you know what I mean, like chairs going on, like the rows. I don't know. Like if I was in the center, like this is gonna sound weird, but like I like being on the edges of things, you know. Because then you feel like you can't. I don't know if somebody's gonna be come up behind me and try to kill me. You know, Wendy's are vicious. Like, so like I mean like like elevators, things like that. Like I'd rather be on the outside of the room, and be able to like see. You know, there's like a solid wall behind me. So like if I was like sitting up, I would like sit up in the back. Like I did that in my psych lecture first year. It was like a room like this in the science center, but like wider. And I was like, there's a lot of chairs. So like I like being in the back more because then like less things come up behind you. I'm like so paranoid, but it's fine. So yes, like I've noticed that I tend to sit in the back of the room a lot, and I feel like professors are like, oh, you're not doing work. I'm like, no, I just like it more. I think that there's still like that kind of like seat bias, you know, that they're like, if you sit in the back room, like you don't want to do anything. And it's like, no, I'm paying attention like 90% of the time. But you know what I mean? Like if you like there's people that like feel really weird about like not being in an enclosed space. And I don't know, like I just know people that have told me that. It's probably like hearsay. But like, you know what I mean? Like if you like feel like there's people behind you, and then if you like get really anxious and you're like, maybe they're like watching me like take notes, or they're like watching me doodle or like whatever. I don't know, so I feel like that can be for some people, but like me personally, I mean, I would sit here if I had to. It's just like I would prefer like the back of the room. I don't know. I'm gonna feel like I'm not taking up as much space because I'm always worried like there's gonna be somebody short behind me or somebody that can't see around me, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm large and tall. Like, so like I'd rather be the, you know what I mean? It's like kind of like in photos, you're like, you know, tall people in the back, so that like you know what I mean? Like I don't know, I feel like I've really ingrained that. I'm like, okay, I'll be in the back. Yeah, I don't know, comfy chairs. I would really like a laying culture in class. Like I think that would be so chill. You know how popular a professor would be if they're like, we're just gonna lie down on the floor. Which I think would be better in here than like the floors and like, you know, the hardwood floors or like the hard tile floors. But yeah, like these are like, these are nice. I don't know, carpet's not too bad. But I could totally get behind that. Yeah.
Great.
So I like this chair better because you can lean back for it, and also because I don't usually like chairs with arms, but this one's nice because you can still cross your legs, I guess. It reminds me a lot of the chairs in the lab I worked in over the summer, which also required a lot of sitting in one spot, and I have to say my sitting experience in the lab was significantly better than my sitting experience at my high school.
I mean, I feel like we would like, it's like a good way to get out all that energy. Like you can just walk in. It would be a really great motivation to like not be late to class for once in my damn life. Like I would walk in like 15 minutes before class to go to like my individual ball pit. I would splash around in that ball pit for a little bit and like be sure I like clean up all the balls before like other people or like the professor comes. And then like while I like listen to whatever we're doing in class, I would just sink lower and lower into the ball pit, and I would just find my zen in the ball pit pool.